Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise to
Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai.
Would like to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well. And peace and salutation to the house of David, the elect, kicking this word of sincerity and truth. I want to say happy Chaanak, Ashar Chaanak, to all you brothers out there kicking this word, doing this work. And what we're going to go into right now is we're going to go into a little history, just going into the origins of Chaanak. And we're going to equate it to what we're going through right now. Because when you go into that word Chaanak, it means, dedicate, or dedication. And that goes into the Feast of Dedication back then. And when you go into the word dedication, or even when you go into the history of where it came about, well, let's pull up this word dedication really quick, what you got right there, Tassaman.
This is online etymology dictionary, word dedication. Action of dedicating, from Old French, dedication, consecration of a church or chapel, or directly from Latin dedicationum, noun of action from dedicare.
A noun of action, Salaki, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Meaning the giving of oneself to some purpose.
The giving of oneself to one purpose. When you go into that, you got devotion involved. You had to give everything that you had and put it into something. When you go into the history of our temple being destroyed, we're going to actually go into that right now in First Maccabees. But when you go into the history of it being destroyed, it was destitute. Our sanctuary was completely annihilated. Our altars, they were sacrificing swine's flesh to fat beasts. It was tainted. So what we had done is we had to, after we had taken it over, we had to replenish everything and restart from new. And in order to do that, you have to devote yourself to something. You have to give all you have toward that. You have to be sincere with it, to be diligent. Okay? Would you be able to pull that account up really quick, Baba Kashar? The water. Yeah, it's a very spiritual time we're living in right now. Because, believe it or not, we're rebuilding the temple right now as well. But yeah, go ahead.
I got this word, just to bolster what you're saying. This word Chaanak in the Hebrew is a Strong's H2596. Chaanak. It says to train, to dedicate, inaugurate, to train up, okay, to dedicate, God. Just like you're saying, man, that's what we built for, man. That's what we're building up to now.
God,
right? With this knowledge.
That's beautiful. It said to train too.
Train up.
Because we're training. We're being instructed with these scriptures. We're training. We're we're rehearsing the righteous acts right now. We're in training for this. That's a beautiful point, brother. Yeah, go ahead and bring that account up, Baba Kashar.
This is First Maccabees, first chapter. I'll start at the 29th verse. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the city of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude, and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit.
And that's what the so-called white man has been doing throughout history, But when you go back around this account, this is when the Grecians were in power. The Seleucid line ruled the whole world. Antiochus Epiphanes. Right. When you go a little bit before that, you have Alexander the Greek, who had conquered the whole known world around that time. So when you go into it, that was really when Esau first started utilizing what was prophesied in Genesis 27th chapter, when he was going to rule the world with the sword. And this is the account of when it was done. And one of the first things that had taken place when they did it was they went to our land and they took down everything, destroyed everything. And that's where the Hellenization got involved for us not knowing who we were as a people. So we had to, right now we're in a time of coming back, waking up, knowing who we are. Like Paul said, it's high time to wake out of sleep. And that's what's going on. But around this process, that's when we started really losing our identity. Yep. Call ourselves Greeks, started following their customs, going to their schools, learning the same stuff that they follow, following their diets, everything you can think of when you research the history on this, what was done. That's why it was prophesied to go to the uncircumcised. And the uncircumcised, if you can receive it, are Israelites who didn't know they were Israelites. Because when you go into the history, they forced us not to be circumcised. And if we circumcised our children, we would get put to death for it. In ways they would find that out actually when you go into history, when we would have, we'd be in school, even the schools back then were called gymnasia. That's what it was called. But when you would have, like, I guess, gym class and everything, they had to be butt naked. And that was a way to be like, oh yeah, they're snitch on them. They're not circumcised. You know what I mean? So it's a whole plethora of history involved in this when you go into it to show that how we were Hellenized and what had happened to us back then.
And the priests were teaching heathen customs as well. So they would kill the elders, they would kill the princes at the time, the ones that were teaching not to eat pork, circumcise your children. They would just kill them.
That's right.
And then they would hire high priests at the time to teach things that were against the law. So they was just straight up teaching you Athenian. They would take your Hebrew name away. This is your new name.
God, brother.
And then you would just learn the customs of the heathen.
God. Yeah, that's a key point why all this stuff was taken out of the scriptures. This is a key point of prophecy just to justify what was going on in the New Testament when the apostles had went out to these other nations. You know, this shows you who exactly Paul, Barnabas, Peter, Philip was talking to. You know, that's why they had taken out of history. Well, they tried to at least. All right, Salakia, go ahead, brother.
It's okay. It says, for when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore and destroyed much people of Israel.
That's right, because you remember what he read before. It said he came in there speaking peaceable words. And right when he had got their attention, right when he got smiles on their face, that's when he went to attack. You know, Salaki, I just wanted to bring that up just so we remember what was going on before we had, started speaking.
Okay. It says, verse 31, and when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side.
So this was the key point. He spoiled their cities, burnt them down, set up altars, set up abominations. Everything that was done, and you see the fruit of the doings today when you look at Israel or Jerusalem.
Exactly.
Because it's a people before it's a place. So you see the product of that. What did our families just celebrate these past 3 days ago? Thanksgiving.
Right.
You know, they had their fat beasts, their chitlins on the table, their honey glazed ham. You know, all the abominable food that's up there. Yep. You know, they were eating stuff like that back then, and we were being Hellenized. Even when you go back to when we were in slavery, they would give us the slops of everything. They forced us to eat pig, all of that. Right. You know, so this is nothing new. It's just a continuation of what went through back then. That's ultimately why we got to have our deliverer come back. Right. You know, because if he doesn't come back, we through.
That's right.
You know.
I was just gonna make a point. That's why it says in First Maccabees, the first chapter, I believe, like when Alexander died and his 4 generals rose up in power, it said evils multiplied in the earth. And mainly it started because our people were stripped away from their culture, man. So Jerusalem, we the people of the Lord. We're supposed to be the epicenter of the world. You know, if we're going off and basically everything that we know of is in ruins and our people have been forced to take on another identity, that just basically put a wicked vibration on the whole world, man.
That's right, brother.
You know?
And just because you said that, we're going to pull up, a precept going into what you're saying really quick about when those men that ruled the world. You know, you even today you see the product of it. Who's in the office of presidency? Who's ruling the world? It's the state the world is in right now just by these evil men ruling, and they're Edomites.
Yep.
You know?
I got you. This is Proverbs chapter 29, verse 16. And it says, when the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth.
So starting from the Seleucids, you know, when you read that in First Maccabees, you can go on down the line about 1,000 years, 2,000 years later, and it multiplied even after that. Because it said wickedness was multiplied when they had ruled. Yep. Now you got rulers on top of rulers after them, and you see the state the world is in right now. You can't even breathe in air without getting sick. You can't even eat foods without catching cancer because of the wicked decrees that these men pull out. And ultimately, we were even talking about this at camp yesterday. You know, a lot of these people have these melanin meetings. A lot of these elites, these higher-ups have melanin meetings, and they pretty much all come together on one accord to find out what they can do to help destroy our diet, to help destroy Israel's diet. And they place it in these stores in our neighborhoods. The 7-Elevens ran by these Cushites and these Ishmaelites, you know, these other stores. And our people go into these stores and buy this food, and it continues to destroy their genetic makeup.
The medicine too.
Gone. Good point. Gone. Yeah, so when the wicked is in rule, you have stuff like this going on. And that's nothing but our temple continually being destroyed back then. You know, they destroyed it the same exact way. When they forced that diet upon us and we were dying, the same thing is going on right now. Like the scriptures say, history does nothing but continue to repeat itself, loosely paraphrasing. All right, the water for bringing that out, brother. That's pretty much the key point I wanted on that verse.
All right.
Go ahead.
God, this is verse 32. But the women and the children took they captive and possessed the cattle. Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall, and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them.
Made our stuff a stronghold for them. You know, made our sanctuary a stronghold for them. They're even using us right now for certain things to benefit them. Yep. Whether it be the sports world, the medicine world, whatever it is, they have to use us, but they build it off of us. We can't even enjoy the stuff that we labor on because ultimately it's their kingdom now and it's theirs. You know? Go ahead, brother.
And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. That's right.
So now that's where you get them putting them, like when we read in Baruch the 3rd chapter, even in Zechariah the 9th chapter, where it says a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and it says others will dwell in our stead. You know, you have the heathen even right over there right now. You have those wicked gutter rats over there call themselves the Jews. They're saying they're Jewish, you know, and they got sent back over there in the 1940s during the Balfour Declaration. You know, others dwelling in our stead. We can't enjoy that land that was rightfully ours. We can't go back there. Like, when we try to go back to what happens, you know, you got what HODC that tried to go back over there, and they forced them to put yarmulkes on their head. They made them take their garments off, which shows you that that's not our land right now. The Lord's going to place us over there in due time, but we know through the Spirit it's going to be very soon. Because, again, ultimately, the tabernacle of David is being risen back up. It's being reconstructed.
That's right.
And that's through his men. You know, matter of fact, you know, we're just gonna go into that in Peter.
I have a quick precept.
Okay, come on.
I'm gonna read from Psalm 79. I'm gonna start at the top. O power, the heathen are come into thine inheritance. Thy holy temple have they defiled. They have laid Jerusalem on heaps. The dead bodies of thy servants have they given to be meat of the fowls of heaven, the flesh of thy saints unto the beasts of the earth.
That's right. Yeah, you see that happening even right now. These cops shooting Jake in the streets because, again, Jerusalem's people before it's a place. Now, ultimately, we know the scriptures going back to how they're living in our land, but still how they're destroying our people right now because it said our children are left to be meat for the fowls. You know, we're dying on the streets, you know. We're dying getting killed by the police. We're dying by the foods that they feed us, by the medicines that they give us. You know, like the scriptures say, we're made a proverb and a byword to these people, and part of it is how we're just in that dead state. We're dead, you know, so...
That's right.
Hey, it said fed to the beasts of the earth. Wasn't we fed to alligators?
Great point. That's a great point, man. Yeah. If these scriptures ain't talking about us,
dogs in slavery.
Yeah,
they were sick of the dog, even up all the way up to the civil rights. They're still a sick of dog on.
Right now, they canines. They got those police hounds.
They're like that scene in Django, man, when they let their dog eat that dude up.
Yeah.
Don't feed them for weeks and then just unleash them on you.
Right, look at what they doing to our Native American brothers in North Dakota.
Yeah, like when you get the name Bloodhound, like it's a reason why these dogs are called bloodhounds. When you go into the history of it, they sent these hounds to fetch us, you know, and they would kill us, you know. They craved blood. That's where that term bloodhound really derived from, was them sicking their dogs on us. You know, if these scriptures ain't talking about us, there's no way to show who else they're talking about. This is us that's talking about. We're the only people that's going through what the Bible said that we was going to go through. Made through the prophecies, absolutely. A proverb and a byword. You know, being made a tabard amongst men. You know, our children dying on the streets, eating our children. We was talking about that before, McDonald's. Yep. You know, this is all us. This is it, you know. Go ahead.
If I can say this, in the midst of all these heathens coming up against us, we've been oppressed by the damn devil. Like, we still, the Most High got men set up that are trying to build a temple again, man. It's starting off spiritual with the preaching of the word, man.
That's right.
You know, drawing men into the faith that they can repent and that the election can be sealed up so we can be saved out of this hellhole, man. It's the same thing, man. But people, you got even our people that's set up to basically try to stop the building. You know, but it ain't gonna work, man. It ain't gonna come to naught.
God, and even the Counts and Maccabees, where you had people like that was there to try to stop us from doing what we had to do. Jason, a key example.
Yep.
You know, he's a key example. You can even go later on in history during the siege of Jerusalem in 70 A.D., where you had Tiberius Julius Alexander. He was another Jake that they had used in order to help destroy our people. And there's even more examples than that. These are just two main. These are just two main ones that I can think of myself. That, you know, that when I think of the account of that going on, you know, and again, like the brother said, you're gonna have Jake set up right now to help do it, like Sonetta, you know, Polite, Shaka, all these other Egyptology guys, and even guys set up in Israel who claim to be men of the truth, but they end up showing it through the works that they're doing.
Yep.
You know?
Judas.
That's right, brother. That's right.
Verse 3, their blood have they shed like water round about Jerusalem, and there was none to bury them.
And that's beautiful that we're talking about this, because a lot of the guys that sold out was a key reason why our blood was shed.
Exactly.
You can look at the way look at the way Yahushua died.
Yep.
Who delivered him up? It was the scribes and the Pharisees, 2/3 of our people. Who came up against Jeremiah? Who came up against Isaiah? It was mainly our people, because they didn't want to accept the truth. Before Paul went to Jerusalem, I forgot where he was at before, but he told them that he was going to have to go to Jerusalem, and they straight up told him, no, don't do it. You know what they're going to do. They're going to kill you. But we know it was our people that they were talking about.
During the time of Maccabees. During the time of the Maccabees, the high priest was selling the fuck out. They was giving up everybody. Yep. They was giving up everybody, man.
Con, brother.
They set him up.
And that's why
I'm gonna start at 4, right?
that's another reason why the Feast of Dedication was so important.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because our people was literally just giving everybody up just to say their own self. You know what I'm saying? And for the Lord to deliver us out of that time frame the way He did, you damn right we're gonna celebrate that.
That's right. Absolutely, absolutely. You know what? Again, that's a beautiful point, by the way, brother. But again, ultimately, with us going to the Feast of Dedication, we just went into the history of it and the condition of our people. But when you go into it, it was the reconstruction of the tabernacle or the altar, the sanctuary. You know, and again, that's spiritually being done right now. You know, the scriptures calls us lively stones.
Exactly.
All right, and with that being the case, we're going to go to that really quick, and then we're going to jump to Chaanak over in Maccabees, so we can equate them both through the Spirit.
1 Peter chapter 2, verse 4. To whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men.
Start verse
1. 1 Peter 2:1. Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speakings, as newborn babes.
That's right. When you read that, it's going into being blameless. You know, in order to be part of this thing, in order to do this, in order to devote yourself to building this temple, you have to purge yourself of all the iniquities that you've had, of all that old man that was there. Put away the maliciousness, put away the guile out of your mouth. We have to be as newborn babes. Yahushua would always talk about that, and he would use children as an example. You know, he took this away from the wise and the prudent, and he said, I give them unto babes. Right. That's why he even says in Matthew the 18th chapter, the greatest in the kingdom of heaven is like a newborn babe. Those are the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So when we go into this in 2 Peter, where it talks about putting all this away, this is a rebirth process.
That's
right.
Right.
Repentance, being baptized through the Spirit to be able to do this work, to rebuild.
That's right.
Because when you go into the account in Maccabees, I believe it's in 1 Maccabees chapter 4, when you go to verse 42, when Judas Maccabees, he said, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, Con, we're gonna go where Ariada's at right now, then we're gonna go back to that one. The water, bring that out, Bob Kashar.
1 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 42. Let me start at 41. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress until he had cleansed the sanctuary.
And that's what we're doing right now through the Spirit. We're fighting, we're breaking down strongholds doing this thing. We're speaking against every vile thing that comes out. A lot of it's against Israel, and a lot of it's against this heathen. We're speaking on everything. We just ain't on just one subject. We're speaking about everything that's wrong through the Spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai.
That's right.
That's what has to be done. Truth has to come out, but our people don't like truth, and they've never liked truth. But we're not here to make people comfortable. We're here to preach this truth. The only ones that's going to be somewhat comfortable of it is the elect, because not even somewhat. They're going to receive comfort through the scriptures. And they're going to want to help rebuild this temple as well. Salaki, brother.
Right, verse 42. So he chose priests of blameless conversation.
Of blameless conversation. Man. Of blameless. Can you read that part one more time, Zakari? And then we're going to go back to that verse one more time.
I knew that's where you were going, brother.
The water, brother. The
Verse
water.
1. Laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisies and envies and evil speakings, as newborn babes, desiring the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby.
Newborn babes. When a newborn babe comes out the womb, that babe is blameless. That babe ain't done nothing yet. That babe is humble. That's how we gotta be. So can you pull that back up again, Ariel, above the song?
Absolutely. 1 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 42. So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law.
Such as had pleasure in the law. Priest of blameless conversation. Can somebody pull up really quick Psalms chapter 37 verse 4? That's who he chose. He chose ones who wanted to do this. We shouldn't feel like we have to do this at all, period. We should want to do this. We should take joy in being a part of this. This is a beautiful thing that we're part of. We're here to help establish the tabernacle of David. What was prophesied through the scriptures thousands of years ago. You got that, brother?
Yeah, and I got another one for you.
Con.
This is
And then we're going to go back to that.
you said Psalms, right?
Con.
I got it too. What you got?
You mind if I read this while you get
Go ahead.
Oh, snap.
Matthew 18, I'm going to start at verse 2. And Yahushua called a little child unto him and set him in the midst of them. And he said, Verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. And I'm saying that because, as the brother said, you have to be as babes coming into this thing. And that's what Yahushua was pointing out with that child. You have to have that type of mindset of a little child. You just do as you're told.
Mm-hmm.
As you get the correct information, you act off of that. You don't start trying to put yourself, above your pops.
Mm-hmm. Great point.
You know what I mean?
That's a great point, brother.
Beautiful.
Right. And being a babe, you delight in what your father tells you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Being like, for example, when I was young, my mom or dad used to tell me to wash the dishes, and I've never really just done it like that. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to wash the dishes. I'm about to be responsible. I'm about to be disciplined. I'm about to do something to show myself. I'm about to devote myself to show myself what I'm worthy to do. That you can rely on me to do more things. Sure. That's what a newborn babe is going to want to do.
Like cutting the yard when you're young, you like, man, I can't wait till I can get out there and push that lawnmower,
That's right, brother.
Then you get a little older, you get lazy and all that. Your house was saying, be like you were as a little child.
Mm-hmm. No, the water.
Willing, basically, yeah.
That's great points.
Obedient,
Great points.
Obedient. Obedient.
God.
Good children are obedient. All right?
Great
And
point.
they understand reproof.
I got you in Psalms.
But I wanted to make a point still that was here in Maccabees, if you don't mind.
God, absolutely.
Right. In First Maccabees, the 4th chapter here, and then when you read the 42nd verse, it says, So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law. Now we're talking about the spiritual temple, right? Because we read the scripture about the lively stone.
Absolutely.
Right? And so the next verse says, who cleanse the sanctuary and bear out the defiled stones into an unclean place. Right? So now we're rebuilding the spiritual temple.
That's right.
Right? And we have pleasure in the law. What law? The law of faith.
That's right.
That's why I wanted to read this in Romans, the 3rd chapter.
Come on, brother.
Romans 3 and 26. To declare, I say, at the time his righteousness, that he might be just and the justifier of him which believe in Yahushua. Believing in Yahushua. Where is boasting then? It is excluded. By what law? Of works? Nay, of the law of faith. Therefore we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. Alright, so now we are preaching in this ministry, in this work, alright, building up this spiritual temple underneath that order of Melchizedek that we keep talking about.
That's right, brother.
Alright, this is that priesthood, that kingly and royal priesthood that's being established. Those lively stones being framely put together in the spirit of Yahushua.
Absolutely. Absolutely, brother.
Alright, you got it, brother.
Beautiful point, man. Beautiful point.
I'm going to read this for you. This is Psalms 37 and 4. It says, delight thyself also in the Lord.
When you go into that word delight, it means to be of dainty habit. Make it a habit. Make it a habit to do something that you want to do, that you choose to do. Like doing your videos, like exhorting brothers. Being enthusiastic about it, not feeling like you're pressured to do it, but to feel like the Lord had gave me the opportunity to do this, so I'll waste it. He could have called up anybody. He could have called up stones. But he had chose to do this. And the spiritual thing about it is he still called up stones to do it. That's the spiritual part about it. Like you remember you had mentioned this in y'all live show that you did when it came to 1 Kings, when it was Ahab and it was Elijah, and they were pretty much saying who the true God was, and they called on Baal, and they were cutting themselves, and no fire came down. But when Elijah did it, he had gathered 12 stones around the altar, poured water on top of it, called down to the Heavenly Father, and fire came. Represented the baptism of those rocks, those stones being risen, those stones being purged. All right, that's us.
Exactly.
God.
It says, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart.
So when we delight ourselves in the Heavenly Father, he's going to give us what we want. And what's the desires in our heart? That's the kingdom ultimately. Because we know the kingdom of heaven is within, as the scriptures talk about. So he's going to give us what we want. We just got to work for it. We got to fight for it. We have to delight in it.
Right.
We have to be willing to do it, and I feel like it's a burden for us. What did Paul say? He said, woe unto me if I preach not the gospel. He said it is a necessity for me to do this. If needs be, we need to do this because we got a lot of stuff that we've done in the past that we got to make right for. But again, we should willingly want to do this. We shouldn't feel like it's a burden because, excuse my language, but we was hoe ass niggas back then before this. That's right. So we should want to be able to do this work so we can show the Heavenly Father, so we can dedicate ourselves to show them that we're worthy of doing this.
Can I get some just to back up that dedication?
Absolutely.
This is part of that dedication. This is Romans 12:1. It says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto the Most High, which is your reasonable service.
That's a beautiful.
So that's the main way that we dedicating our whole way of being in this place as part of rebuilding the temple, man.
That's right.
It's going out and speaking. That's the obedience as being a babe in the faith. You learn that you're an Israelite. You believe that through Yahweh Shai you're going to be saved. And as a part of showing your faith, as a dedicating, as your part of building the temple, you go out and preach.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying?
Beautiful point.
And consequently, that's our protection. You know what I'm saying? Our hope in salvation and our dedication to going out and speaking is the reason why the Lord is going to have mercy on us.
Exactly. Because we hoping the mercy going to come out of that dedication.
That's
You
right.
know?
That's right.
It's just balance.
Hey, Qadar, I believe it was you I was talking to when you said you had mentioned it a few days ago. You said mercy is something and grace is something. You remember?
Yeah, mercy is something you getting something you don't deserve, and grace is undeserved kindness.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is undeserved kindness. Yeah. So like the brothers mentioned beautifully, us making ourselves this living sacrifice, we're proving ourselves worthy, like the brother said, to be able to receive something that we're not meant to have anyway because we went off. Right. That shows you how his mercy is everlasting and how it's beautiful that he has his mercy on us. You know?
That's right. And that's also why we're the temple, because we're working with each other to purge ourselves from the iniquity that we once had, man.
That's right. And then we have one another to fight with when these people come up against us.
Right.
You know, can you pull that up in Nehemiah really quick?
Right. Is it 4?
It's 4 and 17.
Yeah.
We have people, and I stick because there's a lot on there, Peter.
Right, I got you.
Come on.
This is Nehemiah 4:17. It says, they which build it on the wall, and they that bear burdens with those that laid it, every one with one of his hands wrought in the work, and with the other hand held a weapon.
Yeah, and then when you go into the history on this with Nehemiah, this is Nehemiah and Ezra, this is around the same time. Now, we're going to go a little back in history from the Grecians. This is when we were under the Persian Empire, the Persian, you know what I mean. We were under the Persian Empire. You know, we were captives under the Persians, all right? And through the decree of Darius, he allowed us to actually go back to our land and rebuild the temple because it was destroyed when the Babylonians were in rule. Okay, so he put the decree out to say that, okay, cool, and I believe it was Zerubbabel.
It was Cyrus.
It was Cyrus, Salakia. Yeah, and he had pretty much told one of the men to go back and y'all can rebuild it. So while we were in the rebuilding process of it, like the brother said, we had workmen, we had hammers and other instruments of work in one hand, and we had swords with us as well.
Yep.
You know, so go ahead.
Hey, and that's what we doing now. We gotta defend these niggas.
Exactly, brother.
Fight them off, then we gotta build. You know,
that's right.
And then it's all spiritual now because your sword is the word. Your faith is your breastplate. Your hope and salvation is your helmet. You know what I'm saying? So those are our weapons of warfare and what's going to be used to get us through this battle that we're going through. It's not going to be actual. Well, eventually it will be, but right now it's all spiritual.
That's right.
I got a quick one for you.
Go.
This is Ezra chapter 4 and 4. Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building, and hired counselors against them to frustrate their purpose all the days of Cyrus, the king of Persia, even unto the reign of Darius, king of Persia. Right.
That's spiritual. Like, ain't we having to do this to these niggas over here in these other nations, man? That's the scoffers.
Yep.
You know?
That's it.
You got people that want to come up, and we was talking about this yesterday, and want to try to ask questions when you know they're not sincere. Yep. They do it to be a stumbling block. As soon as they come up asking